Hello, my children. This is printer paper, by the way. Little DIY costuming for you. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Jake, the Scary Story Guy, and today we're talking about the lowest rated, yet highest grossing film in the Conjuring Cinematic Universe, The Nun. This is kind of like the Annabelle movies, where we're taking one of the sort of tangential antagonists from the Conjuring movies and turning them into a spin-off prequel of their own. Now, I don't really care for the Annabelle movies. Even the second, which was leagues better than the first, is still just not scary or engaging in the least. And like the Annabelle movies, this is not directed by James Wan, so I knew it was going to be a step down from the Conjuring movies. The Nun was directed by Corin Hardy, whose Wikipedia page basically just consists of one sentence explaining that he's the guy who directed The Nun. And much like the first Annabelle film, The Nun was panned by critics and audiences alike. Here's a sampling of the top Letterboxd reviews. 1.5 stars. None of this made any sense. Good one. 1.5 stars. Organized religion is more terrifying than any demon. 1.5 stars. This shit said sister more times than a James Charles video. I don't know what that means, but look, it's not what you want. Reviews are actually strikingly similar to the first Annabelle across the board. But unlike the Annabelle movies, the demon nun from The Conjuring 2 is actually somewhat frightening. So I went into this movie skeptical, yet open. And I think that made all the difference. Chronologically speaking, The Nun is the first movie in the Conjuring Cinematic Universe, taking place in 1952 in a Romanian convent. Within the first 5 to 10 minutes, my hopes for this movie skyrocketed. The whole thing just looks so cool. It's all very gothic. The Romanian countryside is just beautiful. The convent is tattered from the war a few years earlier. It just sets this really wonderful atmosphere right from the jump. So we open with a nun in the convent basement approaching a door engraved with the Latin phrase Finite Haec Deo, God ends here. Ooh. She encounters something frightening behind the door, who would have thought, and ends up killing herself. Her body's found by a local delivery man, word gets to the Vatican, and the church sends a priest and a nun in training to investigate. The priest, he's got a real Father Karras vibe from The Exorcist, where you just take one look at him and you're like, this man was never a child, he has seen some shit. I think he just needs a hug. The novitiate, that means nun in training, we're learning big words here today. She's played by Thaisa Farmiga, who is the younger sister of Vera Farmiga, Lorraine Warren from the Conjuring movies. But I've seen Thaisa in some seasons of American Horror Story before, and to be frank, I didn't think she was that good. Sort of the Luke Wilson to her sister's Owen, the Hemsworth that's not Thor, any Baldwin besides Alec. But no, she's good in this. She really went for it. And this delivery man, they call him Frenchie. He's sort of the comic relief, kind of the sidekick character who's just in over his head and flirts with Thaisa Farmiga a lot. And he's got good energy. He brings a little humor to the movie without being overbearing. Anyway, one of the big complaints I see about this movie, and it's something you'll notice right off the bat, is that it is loud as all hell. And that loudness is usually connected to a jump scare. And granted, this is not a cerebral movie. It's not a character-driven slow burn. But the thing I like about it is, it knows that. It's only an hour and a half, which is exactly the right length for this sort of thing. We're not overstaying our welcome with mundane things like, I don't know, plot. There's not a lot of character development happening here. We get some glimpses into their backstories, but nothing with such gravity that we're gonna have to take the movie seriously. This is one of those movies that's, hey, robots fighting each other. The Bay Area meets the world's biggest tsunami. Terrorists hijack Air Force One and the president fights back. The second you hear what it is, you're like, oh, that sounds like a fun time, and you just pray to God that it's not too long and that it doesn't try to be something other than what it is. There's a low ceiling for this type of film, but sometimes you're not looking to be wowed. Sometimes you just want to watch a movie. And part of me liking this, I'll admit, might just come from the fact that I find nuns and the whole Catholic iconography really to be a lot more scarier than dolls. A little more scarier, what the f***? I grew up religious, so walking around the aisles at Blockbuster, there was always kind of a mystique to those demonic, satanic movies. You pass them and you'd be like, oh, that's what they warned me about in Sunday school. To this day, I think that has stuck with me enough that if a movie has that sort of vibe, like crosses and Satan and priests and shit, I'm gonna find that way more viscerally effective than someone who didn't grow up fearing that imagery. Whereas a demon doll does nothing for me. Sorry. Honestly, there's part of me that's tempted to say I like this movie less than I did, because when there's such a critical consensus to a movie and you don't agree, don't you kind of feel like a dumbass? Like, I had a good time, but nobody else did, so obviously I'm missing something. But my literally tens of subscribers don't come to this channel to hear me regurgitate popular opinion. They want to know what I think. So I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm gonna give The Nun 3.5 stars out of 5. Guys, stay tuned for more horror-themed content like this. We're gonna keep going with the Conjuring universe and much, much more. As always, if you'd like to read my original scary stories, I'll put a link in the description. Thank you for watching my video. and may peace be with you until the next one.